All right, folks, so I think we're going to get underway. I just want to start by extending a warm welcome and a good evening to everyone. It's a real pleasure to welcome you here to UNBC this evening for the launch of the CIRC event and our keynote panel. So my name is Chris Busey. I'm the project lead for the Cumulative Impacts Research Consortium. We affectionately refer to ourselves as CIRC. We're a bit of a circus. My role this evening is to act as the facilitator and the MC, but it's been a real pleasure getting to know a lot of you. I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience, which is fabulous. I see a lot of new faces in the audience too, and that's also fabulous. So really looking forward to the conversation this evening, and really want to invite everyone again to attend tomorrow's events. We've got a lot of fun and interactive workshops and panels to explore this topic of cumulative impacts of resource development. Now, before I get underway, I'd just like to recognize that the events of this weekend are being held on the traditional territory of the Lheidli. And as someone who has moved very recently to this part of the world, I just want to extend my thanks for the stewardship that the Lheidli have shown for this land. And I certainly hope that through CIRC's work, that's the vision of stewardship that we're really trying to promote and maintain. So my thanks to them, and at this time, I'd really like to invite Edie Frederick to formally welcome us on behalf of the Lheidli. So Edie.
Snachaya, Hafkaunzu, Wadia, Lheidli Dene, Daine, Ge, Hunyane, Ge, Lheidli Dene, Tabets are doing Saturn, Ge, Jack Hinaus, and did send Tabe Nets of Delti, Tabene, and Nagachaka, Zatni, soon on Zatni. Ne edene tabe huncha ge dane kai hablau ne basuide ne dadane ne nasne dala watsotele and dala watsote le sujo habau ne etsi suatele. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Council of Lheidli Dene, the elders and members, we extend our warmest welcome to our traditional territory. Furthermore, we congratulate your commitment to promoting a better environment. We wish you well in your endeavors so that we will have a healthier environment. You have honored us by your acknowledgement. In closing, as our elders have told us, whatever you're going to do, think on it thoroughly. Do not make snap decisions and involve everyone. Then your goals will be achieved. And I'd like to also say, when we say traditional territories, not very many people know what traditional territory really means. So our traditional territory extends as far as to the Rocky Mountains to the east, to the south, halfway to Cornell, to the west, halfway to Vanderhoof, and to the north, just above Summit Lake area. We have 4 parcels of land which are called reserves. The first one is legally called IR number 1-A, and it's at the cemetery at the Lheidli Dene Memorial Park, and it is an active cemetery. IR number 2 is situated due east. We call Shelley, which is traditionally called Khaslan Canal, and there's a north side and the south side. IR number 3 is situated at the end of North Achab Road, and we call that Khasmaunichan. And our last reserve, IR number 4, is situated west, and we call that Salako. In the old imperial system, our reserve encompasses 1,366 acres. So I thank you for listening to me, and I bid you well in your event here, and I hope you come up with the answers we're all looking for when it comes to our environment. To base Nachaga.
Thanks, CD, for those kind words of welcome. I also want to recognize that this weekend's event is being held at UNBC, and these conversations are being convened at UNBC. And as the university that was created by the people and communities of the North over 25 years ago, part of its mandate is to deal with issues that are relevant to Northern communities. And making sure that we're remaining true to the ideals of universities as places for discussion and places for dialogue, respectful debate on what are sometimes challenging and uncomfortable and difficult topics, of which I would certainly group the topic of cumulative impacts in. So it's very appropriate that we talk about cumulative impacts for multiple natural resource developments, I think now more than ever, in this setting and certainly at this institution. So that said, at this time, I'd like to welcome Blanca Short. Blanca is the Dean of the College of Arts, Social and Health Sciences, and she's here to welcome us on behalf of UNBC. Please join me in welcoming Blanca.
Thank you. On behalf of the senior administration at UNBC, it's an honor to welcome you all this evening to the launch of the Cumulative Impacts Research Consortium. I would also like to welcome you on behalf of our president, Dan Weeks, who expressed his welcome to all of you as he couldn't be here this evening. I'm Blanca Short, as was mentioned, the Dean of Arts, Social and Health Sciences here, and these are areas that are also very much affected by some of the topics that you'll be discussing here this weekend. We all know that Northern BC has a long and storied history of resource development, and this history is becoming more and more complex, with renewed interest in oil and gas exploration, pipeline development, the question of liquefied natural gas development across the province, the northern expansion of the mountain pine beetle, new mining proposals, and climate change. This increasing complexity and the changing pace and scale of the resource development across the north of the province calls for increased attention to understanding the cumulative environmental, community, and health impacts associated with these developments. Many of the resource development towns and regions across the north are struggling with understanding the interrelationships between these dynamics, and now, more than ever before, we have a collective sense of urgency to generate resource development strategies that strike a balance between economic and environmental sustainability. It is therefore a great privilege and a great responsibility to have this new initiative be located at Canada's Northern University, UNBC. Resource development and its associated impacts is a topic that has been championed by this university for many years, and we are fortunate to have an incredibly talented and diverse faculty who are passionate about these areas of research. As a research initiative, the CIRC addresses all four of UNBC's strategic research areas. These include environment and natural resources, community development, northern, rural, and environmental health, and First Nations and Indigenous studies. One of the things that is truly exciting about the CIRC is that it is an interdisciplinary and pan-university endeavor. It is a formalized expression of collaboration between our three research institutes, the Health Research Institute, the Community Development Institute, and the Natural Resources and Environmental Studies Institute. This is particularly important because the cumulative impacts of resource development will not be able to be understood by any one discipline or sectoral silo. To that end, I'm given great hope by the diverse audience that is in attendance here tonight for this event throughout the weekend that is committed committed to pursuing meaningful dialogue and action on issues with resources associated with resource development. So, on behalf of UNBC, I'm very pleased that you could attend, and thank you all for coming. I look forward to the very valuable conversations that this initiative will foster through its community engagement events and subsequent scholarly research. Thank you.
So thank you, Dean Short, for those warm words of welcome. One housekeeping detail before we move on. We expect this evening to run for about the next hour and a half. For those of you who require it, washrooms are just outside this door to my right. Emergency exits are signed all the way around in the event of an emergency. Safety first. Moving on now, on behalf of the Cumulative Impacts Research Consortium, it's really a pleasure to welcome you all to the launch of this new initiative. Now, this evening's activities are part of a suite of events that are taking place over the course of this evening and tomorrow. And we really want to encourage everyone present today to attend tomorrow's sessions as well, to help us contribute to advancing this dialogue, and really help us to understand where the assets are in the North and certainly where the needs are. So it's worth noting that much of what we'll be discussing over the next few days are issues unfolding over a land area roughly the size of France. And that's kind of the geographic scope of the work that we're proposing to undertake. And many of these issues that we're going to talk about tonight and tomorrow are interrelated, their impacts not necessarily readily understood, and it's a big, messy, complicated topic to unpack. And so we've got our work cut out for us, but I'm given a lot of hope, and I'm really excited by certainly the caliber of individuals who are here this weekend to share ideas and really kind of talk about solutions. So keeping this in mind, and certainly building off of Edie and Blanca's comments, I'm too given great hope by the diverse audience that we've got in attendance tonight. I think that the challenges that we're faced in regards to cumulative impacts necessarily require a transdisciplinary solution, folks from all sectors, all disciplines coming together to have a meaningful conversation about this. So welcome. Now, before introducing our keynote panel, I just want to take a moment to orient everyone to Cumulative Impacts Research Consortium and just make a few brief acknowledgements and give thanks. So just really quickly, cumulative impacts, it's a phrase that's been tossed around a lot. It's entered the popular imagination of certainly northern BC for really over the course of the last 5 years. At the consortium, we have a lot of conversations around what this word actually means, and this is kind of just what we've come up with. It's a working definition. We certainly encourage debate and dialogue over it, but when we think about the effects of a resource development, we tend to think about the things that are directly observable. We might think about the number of trees that were cut down to drill a well pad, or monitoring air quality and emissions levels at a particular well pad. The challenge then is thinking about impacts. And for us, impacts are these longer-term, sticky, messy things that flow from effects. They're the result of many single land use issues. And this is an image that I'm sure many of you have seen. It comes from Global Forest Watch, and it's tracking actually the number of well pads that were developed in the piece all the way from 1950s to 2011. And when we start to think about cumulative impacts, we're saying that it's not necessarily this additive relationship. We're saying that all of these wells is going to be greater than the sum of its parts. They're going to have some kind of synergistic impact on the environment, on the communities that surround them, and certainly on human health. And the task that we've got set before us is to try to make sense of that, mess, and try to tease out the relative contribution of all these effects and all of these impacts. So in light of that, who are we? To put it bluntly, we're the folks who are trying to contribute to and try to make sense of that mess. We are really trying to seek to integrate environmental and community, social and economic development questions, human health issues, into a holistic understanding of what we would refer to as cumulative impacts. So CIRC was established as a pan-university, pan-UNBC, tri-research institute endeavor, where we've got representatives from the Health Research Institute, the Natural Resources and Environmental Studies Institute, and certainly the Community Development Institute that make up kind of our governing body. And we've all come together recognizing that this isn't a topic that we can tackle on our own. It's something that bears greater consideration and greater collaboration across UNB's research institutes, and so that's what we've done. The CIRC is really the formalized collaboration between those groups. So really quickly, just want to introduce some very important people who've been working behind the scenes to make this event possible and certainly to make this initiative possible. So I'll just call on you and ask you to raise your hand or maybe just stand up and give a wave to everyone. Margot Parks is a representative from the Health Research Institute. Hi, Margot. Greg Halseth is one of the directors of the Community Development Institute. His counterpart, the co-director of the Community Development Institute, is Marlene Morris. I don't think Marlene could make it tonight. We've also got in the audience Art Verdeen. Art Verdeen is a representative from the Natural Resources and Environmental Studies Institute. And we've also got Rachel Wells, who sends her regards, but she was unable to be here today. She's a research manager with the Health Research Institute and has been working very, very hard behind the scenes to help us pull this off. I do also want to recognize the contributions of two past steering committee members, Leanne Elliott, a former research manager for RESI, and Kyle Aben. And it's really a testament to the kind of caliber of people that we have. Both Leanne and Kyle have gone on to work for other organizations to focus on these issues from different perspectives. So it's nice to see that this is a group of people who's very engaged, committed, and certainly in demand. I also want to recognize the contribution of our advisory committee. This is a pan-northern committee right now of 12 different folks who occupy and share different perspectives and provide advice to us on our community engagement and on our research. And really, this work would not have been possible without them. They're key leaders on a lot of these issues. They've been engaged in this topic for a really, really long time, and they bring a considerable amount of expertise to this conversation. And many of them were able to make it tonight. So again, I'll just ask you to wave your hand. Joan Chess with the Fraser Basin Council. There's Joan. Hi, Joan. Andy Ackerman from Beard Consulting out in Fort St. John. Jennifer Piggin, Claylee Tenay. Hi, Jen. Nicole Cross, did Nicole make it in tonight? She's going to be here tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled for her. Nicole's with the First Nations Health Authority. Richard Katzins from Flinrow, there's Richard. Lana Lowe with Fort Nelson First Nation, there's Lana. John Disney sends his regards, he couldn't make it tonight. Wayne Slisky, Wayne's here, there he is. Hi, Wayne. Sandra Harris, working with the Good San Band Council, also sends her regrets, had something else come up tonight last minute. As did Charles Badenhorst. Charles is formerly a medical officer of health out in the Peace region of Fort St. John, and has now started a new role with First Nations Health Authority. Viva Wolf with the BC Oil and Gas Commission is a regional manager out in Peace as well. And Alan Madriga is formerly with the city of Williams Lake, but had a long history of community and economic development work. So again, our thanks to those folks. And just a couple of special thanks. Again, I've already mentioned the three research institutes. This initiative would not have been possible without their support. It also wouldn't have been possible without the support of the College of Arts, Social and Health Sciences, the College of Science and Management, and certainly the Office of Research under the leadership of Dr. Bird, who was very generous in earmarking some funds from the BCOGC for this initiative that helped run this event. Certainly a huge thanks to Food Services, to Educational Media Services for the fabulous job they've done catering and also video recording this. Just as a quick note, tonight's keynote panel will be posted on our website, so you can check back in and follow up with key insights and ideas. And certainly also a huge thanks to our funder, the Pacific Institute of Climate Solutions. They provided 3 years of funding for us to start pursuing this topic. For us at UNBC, we view this as an opening. It's the start of something I think really big here at the university. So it's an invitation to get involved and stay tuned for more to come. And certainly last but not least, huge thanks to our talented team of undergraduate and graduate students. Jordan Jackson, who's here, many of you have been interacting with Jordan over email. She's been absolutely pivotal to pulling this event off. And certainly our talented student volunteers, Evan McLean, Sarah Bale, and Jana Olin.